I would typically start my planning for the recording with a clean canvas and then go to that button, which is the snapshot tool, open the document on which I have done my preparation and my planning, and then if there's anything there that I need inside my recording, I would click capture and draw my red frame around the area that I need to incorporate into my recording. Click on copy, and there it is. So then I can just simply from there get the pen size, the colors, everything correct, click on record, and I can start recording and I can start writing, and once I'm done I just save it again as a new recording. We tend to think of the water cycle starting in the clouds because we know that there is water and water vapor in the atmosphere, and it makes sense because we also know that the clouds and the water which is up there in the air produce rain, which ultimately will fall down into the rivers, but it might also actually fall down on the earth. But then we also know that the water that falls on the earth will eventually make its way back into the rivers, and then from the rivers the water would flow into the sea, and ultimately from the sea it would evaporate again, making the clouds and the water in the atmosphere that will again produce rain. So this whole process is then referred to as a cycle because it produces almost like a circle of events. So once I'm done, I stop and I save my recording, type the name, water cycle, save, I type my name, and again the title that will be displayed on the screen, the water cycle, and I click on save, and once that process is done I've got a recording and I can move on to the next one. Once I have made my individual recordings that I want to bundle together in one super lesson for my students, I will have to design an index page. Now for that I can go to Word or PowerPoint or any program really that you want to create the index page on, and I would click on the snapshot tool to open the specific program in front of me. There is my index that I've created according to my liking with option number 1 and option number 2 for the water cycle. So I would just import that first of all into my Scribbler Educator by drawing my red frame around the picture and the index options. There it is. And then what I can do is to create the hotspots or the links by clicking there. There's a hotspot around point number 1. What will happen then is the program will ask me what recording needs to be linked to option number 1, and it is creating the template. Then option number 2 must be linked to the water cycle. And then I can also change the opacity, if I like, of my hotspots so that it becomes a little bit more transparent or less transparent, depending on your preference again. But once you are done, you can then also create a recording on your index. So you could, for instance, say, please choose from the options below, click on number 1 or click on number 2. And then once you're done, you need to save this recording as the index. Again, type in your name and the title, the water cycle, and save. Once that is done, you can then create the super lesson from that recording by saying create super lesson, choosing your index, and click on start. It will tell you all the files that are linked in this one super lesson now. Okay, again just type in the name for web references later. Scribbler is the name, title is the water cycle, and you can also type in a decent description. For now, let's type in the water cycle as it is, and then any number of keywords that you would like to include in your super lesson for later use. So you could, for instance, use that, say OK, and now you need to choose a name for the super lesson. So we'll call it the water cycle, save, agree to the copyright protection, and create. And I've got my super lesson created then, and what I can do now is to share it with my students. So I can just click on share super lesson on the Scribbler box or the SUPERcloud. I'm already logged in as a tutor. I will select my super lesson file from there. Gives me an option again to edit any of the keywords or the descriptions. I will choose my language, I will choose the level, subject, whether it's free or paid for type of super lesson, choose my grades and any topics associated with it, click on start upload, and the moment the upload is finished, I'll have an option to share that link for the upload on my Facebook page, or I will be given a link itself, a reference link that I can forward to my students, and they can simply click on it, and the super lesson and all the relevant recordings inside of it will then start playing back on their computers.